Welcome to the ACCC Buzz, and the conference has been a buzz over the course of the last several days because of an event that happened at the University of Montevallo on Friday, and it was one of those situations where a runner ran the wrong way, but it wound up being the right way and for a purpose. We'll talk about that in a minute. Amy Long, long distance runner at Enterprise State, and the cross country coach there at Enterprise State as well, Christian with us. Chris and Emmy, thanks for being with us.
No problem.
Thank you.
Emmy, on Friday, I've heard about it, heard a lot about it, as a matter of fact. You did something that maybe a lot of us wish we would do, hope we would do in these circumstances. You did, though. You're doing a cross country meet. You get into a remote, isolated area where there's maybe not a lot of populated people or paramedics or trainers, and you're on your way, from what I understand, is probably one of your best runs of the year, and something stopped you in your tracks and turned you the other way. Take it from there.
Yeah. There was a girl on the side of the trail that we were running on, and I could just see her legs, but I saw that she was screaming, and so I went over to her. Well, I was starting to run past her, and I was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she said no, and I asked if she needed me to get help, and she said yes. So, I ran back to try to go get help, and no one answered that time, so I went back to her and asked if she wanted me to help her up at all, but she said she couldn't move at all because her back had pinched or seized up. And so I went back and then found a team, and two ladies followed me back, and then I started on the trail again.
Now, this is an injury to really a competitor, right? It's not a member of your team. It's not a member of Enterprise State. This
Yes,
is
sir.
somebody that you were literally competing against.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, are you on this track run or this run? You're in an area where there's not many people. I mean, explain. I'm not a cross country runner,
Yes.
so I don't know the process.
Well, it was a nighttime race, so they had like big lights in certain areas of the trail, but that just happened to be a place where there wasn't any light. So she was kind of in this one corner. You couldn't really see too well, and there weren't any helpers on the side in that area, so no one really saw her. But it was like 0.1 miles away from like where the people were.
Did you hesitate? I mean, was there something in your mind going, man, I'm running a race. I'm at, a record time, possibly for me personally. Was there any
Um
hesitation?
There was in my head. I didn't know if I should stop or not, since a lot of times people say don't stop because it's like an individual race. But she seemed like she was in a lot more pain than a normal like ankle injury or something like that. And so I thought it'd be good to stop this time.
Now, you say that not only did you go back, help her, got attention for her as far as medically, but you then finished the race?
I did, yes.
How did you do?
I did okay. I hit 28 minutes.
And how long is this, by the way? What distance are we talking about?
It's a 5K, 3.1 miles.
Hey, I think that's a great time. And let me applaud what you did because, as I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of us like to think we'd do it. We hope we would do it. Many of us wouldn't. You did, and that's to be applauded. Coach, I know this is an individual sport, but it also has a team quantity to it because the way I understand cross country, the scoring is that the individual runners all are contributing to a particular score, and you actually want, I guess, the lowest score versus the highest. So, what was your reaction when you first of all found out where she was in the race, and then to learn what happened and why she was at that point?
Yeah, no, and I'll just say I'm extremely proud of Emmy and her decision. The area was fairly isolated. It's not very where she was at. It's not easy for spectators or coaches to see. So I was kind of down at the bottom of the hill, ready to receive the runners as they came down, and give them their times, encouragement, whatever they need. I knew Emmy was with our lead girl, Abby. They were pretty much tied to the hip for most of the race, and I know what Abby was running, and Emmy was looking strong. So, and based on what Emmy was doing throughout practice, I had no doubt that she was on the way to a very good race for her. And so my concern was when I saw Abby come down that hill, I was waiting for Emmy, and I didn't see her profile. And she's a tall girl, so I expected to kind of see her above her, but I just wasn't seeing her. And then actually my number 3 girl came through before Emmy, so I was starting to get a little concerned. My first thought was that Emmy had gotten hurt somewhere up there. And I was kind of clicking that time down and watching, and the longer it went, the more concerned I was getting. Then I saw her around that corner come down, and I think the first thing I said to her was, "Are you okay? Did something happen?" She was kind of out of breath, and it's a race, so she's running. She mentioned runner was hurt. I was helping her, and then she just kept moving on. So she ran right on by me. It's like, okay, so I had to kind of process that information and moved on to the next next leg of the course. I believe that was the final lap. So I moved my way over to the finish chute, and I had overheard some of the Don running. Some of the girls from the University of Montevallo, they actually looked like they had stayed at that chute there actually to cheer Emmy on. That seemed they specifically were waiting to cheer her on, and that's where I started overhearing a little more of that story. That said, that's the girl that helped out the person on the field. So the story started coming together in my head. I was like, okay, this is what happened. And then EMS came by later on, and you could start to get the full picture. Of course, I'm going to ask around, see exactly what happened. But, once I got to Emmy, she kind of gave me the full story. And I know she was a little conflicted. She really wanted that time. I wanted it it's something to do it in practice, but to have it officially, I understand 100%. That's there. But in this case, I told her there's other runs, there's other races to happen. You did the right thing. I couldn't be more proud of her, what she represents for herself and the school. And I think that's what we ask for and look for in our athletes.
Emmy, the lady that you helped, have you talked to her since, and do you know her status?
I haven't. I don't really know her name, so it's kind of hard for me to go off of. We couldn't really find like her information or anything because it just didn't come up in the system, I guess. But I would be interested in seeing how she is, like, and seeing if she's okay.
Do we know what school she was from?
I believe she was from the University of Montevallo, and I had reached out, and I'll reach back out to them again to try and get that information. But I'd be interested as well. But I know Coach Barksdale was very appreciative of her efforts in this.
Indeed, and credit is in this particular case going to be given where it is due. I mean, because as I mentioned in the outset, in this day and age, a lot of good things don't necessarily happen. So when there's something good that does, we need to shine the spotlight on it. Thank you so much for spending time with us, sharing your story, and thank you for what you did on Friday at Montevallo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.